Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, guess what? We're brewing another wine, and what a wonderful wine it is. If you haven't guessed it already, yes, we're making a pear wine. Again, as my recipes or brewing recipes are fairly straightforward, so it is very simple and easy to accomplish. Just before start, all we need guys is 3 kilos of pears, 2 kilos of sugar, 6 liters of water, half a cup of raisin and yeast. As simple as that. So first things first guys, what we're going to do is we have to pick some pears, but they have to be a really ripe pears and not pears that past is due. They have to be absolutely perfect. The best way to find out if your pears are ready, if you're able to pull out their little stem, as easy as that, that means that pear is ready and perfect for the wine. Because obviously pear generally has very delicate flavor, it is very important that they have to be absolutely ripe, because we're going to try and mush the pears to get the flavor out. So if you use a green pear or not a ripe pear, it's just not going to taste really good at all. So first things first, we're going to take, I have washed them, we're going to take the little stems out, and we're going to basically cut the pears into chunks. Okay, we want to avoid the pips because unfortunately pips will make the wine bitter. So do the best as you can. There's no right or wrong cutting it because we're going to mush it with a potato musher later. So I'm literally just going to cut it into random pieces, take away the core, and then probably just slice it in half. As I said, it really doesn't matter how you do it, whatever the best way for you. Get rid of that. Basically do what suits you. So let me continue with that and I shall see you in a few minutes. So I have cut all the pears, and just to demonstrate to you guys, this is the kind of effect, or the, you see that juice coming out from that pear? This is the ripeness of pears, and this is what's going to create our lovely, lovely wine. Okay, excuse the demonstration, but I thought it's literally extra important, super important that the pears are super, super ripe. So we have 3 kilos in here. And apparently, guys, the skins of the pears are full antioxidants, so thus us brewing wine means that our wine is going to be full of antioxidant. If somebody say you can have a glass of wine and it's good for you, who am I to argue? So without further ado, guys, let me put this in there. We are done. Okay, we have, look at that. We have our little cores in here that can go to composter. And let me tidy this up and I'll see you in a second. So here we are, it's all tidy. So the next step is, guys, we're going to get those pears in there and we're going to mush them. And it's not going to be easy, so it's going to be messy. Look at the start. Again, some things in brewery, when I make those videos, guys, it just can't be done gracefully. If I just turn this upside down, you know it's going to go everywhere. We kind of did it. Right, okay. That smells so good. Right, let's try that. Bad idea, good idea? Okay, not too bad. Right. 1, 2 escaped. Okay, so now let's do it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to mush them together as much as possible. I might end up actually using my hands in a minute. It's probably a little bit better. You can actually walk on it if you wanted to, really. That's how they do wine, so it doesn't matter if you feel like you're doing that. So, okay. Squelch, 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 squelch. I'm actually going to get a glove. This is so much better. Should have done this. I don't know, for some reason I did mention it to some videos before, guys. I feel like I really don't want to wear a blue glove on the camera. I really don't know why. But my goodness, I always say your hand is a better tool than anything else. So this is what we have, or should have. So we'll just do a little bit more. If any of you enjoying this, I'm wrong with you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It is oddly satisfying. like anything else when you can anger your frustration. It's like a kid in the playground. Twat. Don't wear white when you do it. Let me take the glove off. Clean up my mess. So now guys, we're gonna put this on a hob. Okay. We're gonna add a little bit of water and we're gonna stew that for our usual approximately 10-15 minutes and dissolve our sugar. Again, the size of the pot is an issue. Like if you watch my banana video, I had to do things in 2 because of the sheer volume of produce, and obviously the saucepans are never big enough, but this one might work. Okay, great. So I've put about half a litre roughly. Oh God, my hand hurts now after mushing the pears. It's like a workout. Right, so mix this in there. Let's get the sugar in. As I said, I might have to do 1 kilo of sugar and then the other one dissolved in water, see how it goes. Okay, 1 in. I'm using white sugar. Again, you can use Demerara dark sugar, it's fine, it's up to you. Right, let's put this on. I will put the other sugar in. It will fit in, which is great. Okay. It's a pear soup. You see guys, again, pointing out the fact, if you don't use the right pears, you'll never be able to do that. And you're just going to have the pear chunks swimming rather than actually have a pear puree. So, sugar in, that's in. Let's get our raisins. Half a cup of raisins. You can use a tea bag if you wanted to. I use raisins. I don't know why. I just do. Okay. So, this is what we have. So, we're going to bring it to boil, dissolve all the sugar. For you, it's like watching paint dry. So I'm going to wait for it to boil and stew for 15 minutes and I'll see you then. So technically we are done. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, guys, you will find that you get a bit of a foamy scum coming up to the top. Like that. So we want to get rid of that. It doesn't like when you make a jam. All that stuff comes up. We need to get rid of it. We don't want it. It's not nice. It looks like sewage on the top of your wine. Nobody wants that. Okay. It's super hot, so you gotta be careful. And also, guys, when it's bubbling, okay, because we do have some chunks of pear, be very careful because it could really create a big air bubble and the pear can come up and like spit you in the face. Happened before. Not nice. Okay. Right, so scum is out. Here we are. Bowl of scum, anyone? Right, okay then, guys. So next thing is we're gonna put this into my big jugs. Make sure that the tap is off and make sure it's not leaking, which has happened to me before. Okay. Again, this one is a dodgy one. If you see me making the wine before, anytime I have to put the hot liquid, it spits me in the face, and it's really, really annoying. Anyway, so because the mixture is quite hot, let it cool down a little bit. But I'm gonna start with a cold water so we don't kind of singe the jug. Make sure, of course, your jug is disinfected. I always say this is the first key, first rule of brewing, really. Make sure your equipment is disinfected properly. Let's get some more water in. Again, don't suggest that you guys use tap water. Use filtered water or bottled water. The amount of crap in the tap water nowadays is ridiculous, and it will impact the flavor of your wine, and we don't want that. Yay! It's like milking a cow. Sorry. Okay. And we might as well put the last one in. And I'm keeping the bottles to store tap water or my rice. Do that again. Hey, that's how it's meant to be done. Okay. Now the tricky part, right, is to transfer this uber hot liquid into that without any incident. So I'm going to do quickly just to get some pears out. Pear soup. Oh, excuse my facial expressions, guys. I always do that because it's so hot. Okay, right. I think we can try and get this in. All right, let's do it. Here, let's go. Yay! I didn't get spat in the face too much. Yay! Raisins always get left behind, right? Sink to the bottom and they just stay there. Get out. Okay. Right, so the hard part is done. Oh, we got that tastes so good. Spoon. Let's give it a good whisk up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Smells good. And we're gonna sprinkle our yeast on top, and we're gonna leave it again for a week or so, like I normally do. First fermentation in the first jug, then we strain this, put in the other jug. Normally, as I said, 1 to 2 weeks. It's really, really hot outside, so generally, I would say it probably would take us about a week to 10 days to get this fermented. Okay, so I'm putting up a bit, just over half a teaspoon of yeast and a nutrient. Mix it up again. And all I'm gonna do is to wash the lid, put the airlock in, and I shall see you guys in a few days. So guys, we have 10 days have passed since my pear wine. So, I had this open, so this is what we have now. It looks like a really mushy pear soup. It smells more like yeasty rather than peary at the moment, but it is definitely time for it to come out, to be strained and go into the second cleaner container, which I have behind me. Yes, it's a little bit overkill for the size, but because this guy got a tap, I love them anyway. So before we go any further, I did tell you guys, I forgot to tell you, the original gravity of that was 1.100. Okay, so I'm just gonna now just take a bit of sample, not for the gravity's sake, but for my taste test to see what we're tasting like. I like to, oh, look at that colour. I like to, for some reason, I don't know, I just like to taste the stuff in between, because it's not too late to make some adjustment on the second fermentations if we really wanted to anyway. So, okay, still obviously very cloudy, but let's see. Okay, it's really sweet at the moment, so it's definitely not finished fermenting. However, I cannot taste any yeast or a little fizz, so it tastes, I think, it'll be really nice as sweet wine, I think. However, things may change in a couple of weeks. So we're now straining, and I'm going to do this off camera, strain all the goo out of here, goes in the new container. We're going to carry it up and leave it for a bit, so I shall see you in a second. So here we are. This is the lovely golden liquid. I have strained the wine like I did last time with the sieve, the little fine mesh sieve through there on the inside, because the taps get clogged. It still got clogged halfway through, so I have to pour it out through the fine mesh sieve to go in here. Because of the whole consistency of the pear wine, because of the pear, it's been boiled and it's been fermented, it became basically a mush. So there is a lot of mushy pear still within. So chances are we're still going to be straining this in another few weeks, depending how soon it's going to ferment again. So the next step is going to go in a warm utility in the dark under the cover, and we shall see you guys probably in a couple of weeks, and I'll show you what's happening. It's been just over 2 weeks, guys, and this is what we have. You still see the wine, it's slightly a bit cloudy. It has got a lot of sediment at the bottom, but obviously still not quite finished. What I'm going to do now, I've got another Cooper's bucket here. I'm going to transfer the wine into there, and I'm going to leave this until it's cleared up a little bit more. It's taking a little bit of time to clear it, but that's absolutely fine. We anytime you find with the fruits that we use when we mush the fruits like banana or pear, it just takes that much longer to clear up. So I have actually done the hydrometer reading, and so far that wine is at about 14.4%, which is quite strong. I have tried this as well, and it tastes really good. It's not as floral as I say as a banana wine, but it does certainly have this freshness of a pear. But of course, time will tell further on. The longer it sits there, it should technically get better. So without further ado, I'm going to transfer this into this bucket, and I shall see you in a second. Voila! So as you can see, I've transferred from one to another, and the beauty, guys, I keep mentioning, I cannot recommend those buckets enough. Because of the tap, it's so easy just to open up a tap. Obviously, make sure you support it and sort of kind of hold it behind so you don't get too much air in, but this just makes my job absolutely a breeze. Anyway, so it's all here. We have a tiny bit of wastage in there. We have quite a milky solution with a lot of yeast down the bottom, but that's absolutely fine. You know, a little wastage, it's a norm really for when you do home brewing. So I'm going to put this now back in utility in a warm place, and it's going to sit there, I would imagine, at this cloudiness. It's probably going to sit there for another 3 to 4 weeks. So hopefully then they'll be ready to bottle. So I'll see you then. 3 weeks later, guys, this is what we have. As you can see, okay, the wine is so much more clearer than what you last saw this few weeks back. I have just drawn a little bit now, and you can see absolutely beautiful golden color. Because we use the tea bag, you can see it's clearly just changed that color to just lovely, almost a rosé, and it is absolutely yummy. As you do when you have wine brewing, and you know it's probably finished the fermentations now and it's been sitting there for the extra 5 days. Occasionally I shall pop into utility and take a sample, and I pretend I'm doing the hydrometer measure, but it's actually just for me to give it a try. I just wanted to make sure that I'm absolutely happy with the wine. There's not a lot I can do with this right now considering it's actually finished. But so as you can see, guys, I know it's a tiny bit there, but it is still a little bit cloudy. But I said to you, because we're using like a mushy fruit, you will have a lot of peptin in there, but it will settle after you bottle this after probably about 2 months. That's why they always suggest that you do leave your wines and ciders and beers just sitting there for a little bit. Make sure anything else that's left in there, it's settled down. So let's give that a taste. Well, I know what it tastes like, but I'm going to tell you what it tastes like. So it smells, guys, a little bit more fruitier than a rhubarb wine. So if you haven't watched the video, please have a look. Okay. It's got, it's obviously stronger than a rhubarb wine. You can certainly taste that. It's a little bit more sweeter. I would say it's probably medium dry. And you do have the little kick in the back of your throat. So you can certainly taste this alcohol in there. And it is certainly an easy drinkable wine, especially if you chill this. But to be fair, I'm a little bit weird sometimes. With certain wines, I don't like them uberly cold, so I don't put them in the chiller. I just sometimes have them at the room temperature, unless it's of course 25 degrees. So nonetheless, it is a tasty, tasty wine. I've done the hydrometer measure, okay, and I've done this on the previous part of the video, and I did say it was like about 14.5%. It is 14.5%. We initially started with 1.100, and we're now on 0.990. I know some people express concerns or thoughts that I don't know my measurements and I don't know my percentage volume. However, I do use a hydrometer and I do take the note. I might forget to mention this in the beginning of the video when I do the brew. However, I do take the note of my hydrometer measurements before and after, so I know exactly. If I'm telling you guys the wine is 14.4%, it is 14.4%, give or take, because of the hydrometer measure. So that's that. So I'm not, like as I said, I'm not going to bottle it up here, because obviously I brought it from utility and I have disturbed the sediment slightly. So to be on the safe side, I'm going to leave it here overnight and I'm going to bottle them tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow. So here we are, the wine has been bottled. As you can see, I have 5 bottles of wine and I have 1 bottle of 500 ml left of the whatever was left at the bottom. I put this in there. As you can see, I've got the dark bottles and I have 1 clear bottle. I always try to use, in any batch of wine I do, I try to at least have 1 totally clear bottle. This way, when I put the wine on the shelves and obviously it sits there for a few months, I get to monitor when the wine totally clears. As I mentioned earlier, guys, obviously the wine is slightly bit hazy. That's absolutely fine. You can see that here. In a couple of months, the problem will be solved. This wine, a rhubarb wine, which I've made, I think it was February. I think so, February or March. Anyway, whether you guys can see from that or not, the total part is totally cleared. I have about an inch of a slight haze at the bottom, and I have a thicker layer of haze right literally at the bottom there, but you can see that the wine gone clearer. This is how I know, and this is why I would monitor my clear bottle of wine to make sure that when I do open the bottle of wine, it is actually settled and cleared. At the same time as well, guys, the longer it sits there, there's slightly, sometimes in the fresher wine, you might have that yeasty taste and smell that will also go away once the wine totally cleared. So otherwise as well, guys, just to let you know, what I do is I have I stick labels in the back of my bottles. Okay, they are like a shiny labels like this. I use the Sharpie just to write my month and a year of the wine and the percentage. This way those labels stay, they stick like you know, like certain things to certain things, but because they're waterproof, I can then rub off the Sharpie if I reuse the bottle, or when I reuse the bottle, and just rewrite on that again. And another thing that I choose to do in majority of my cases is, especially if I'm going to let my wine sit there for a long time to mature, I use the silver aluminium tape. And if you watch the channel, you know I use them to tape my rice in a big bottles, okay, like the scrumpy ones, old rosy ones, because they are airtight and watertight, and obviously we have broken the seal on the wine. I choose to literally cut piece of tape, cut that in half, and then put this all around the lid of the wine. This is just for me as an extra precaution. Whether it does anything or not, I don't know, but it's just something that I choose to do as a part of my wine storing anyway. So here we are, guys. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I do hope you give this a go, and thank you for watching, and cheers. Bye bye.